If you're watching this alone, don't look behind you until the video ends.
The kind of place where everything shuts down early. By 9 p.m., the streets were empty. No cars, no people, just the sound of wind and loose metal signs creaking somewhere in the dark. I do refrigeration repair, so I get sent to places like this sometimes. Usually, it's boring. This time, it wasn't. My company booked me into a roadside motel. It was the only one in the area. Single floor, about 10 or 12 rooms, all the doors facing the parking lot. When I pulled in, there were only 3 cars. One near the office, one in the middle, and one at the far end, close to my room. I didn't think much of it. At the office, there was an older woman behind the desk. She smiled when I walked in, but it felt off. Not fake exactly, just distracted, like her attention wasn't really on me. She kept glancing past me, toward the parking lot. While she was checking me in, she said something strange. "Make sure you lock your door tonight." I half smiled and nodded. She added, "And if someone knocks, don't open it unless it's me." I actually laughed a little. I asked if the area was that bad. She paused for a second, then said, "Just don't open it." That was it. No explanation. My room was the second last one on the corner, far from the office, far from the other cars. The only room past mine was empty. At least, that's what I thought. Inside, the room was old but clean. Faded carpet, scratches on the furniture, the kind of place you don't question, you just sleep and leave. I dropped my bag, grabbed some food from a nearby gas station, and came back around 8:30. That's when I noticed the truck. Dark green pickup, engine running, lights off. It was parked 2 spaces away from my room. Someone was sitting inside. I couldn't see his face clearly, but something about the way he sat felt wrong. Too still. Both hands on the wheel, not looking around, not on his phone, just sitting there. I told myself he was waiting for someone, and went inside. Around 10:30, I showered and got into bed. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Then, I heard footsteps. Outside. At first, I ignored it. People walk around motels all the time. But these footsteps were slow, dragging slightly. And they stopped right outside my door. I waited, expecting a knock, or keys, or anything. Nothing. After maybe 20 seconds, the footsteps walked away again. I relaxed a little. Then, about a minute later, they came back. Same slow steps, same exact stop, right outside my door. Still no knock. Something about that felt wrong, like whoever it was wasn't confused. They were thinking. I got up quietly and looked through the peephole. I didn't see anyone. That's when something clicked. The peephole doesn't show the ground right next to the door. Someone could be standing directly under it, and I wouldn't see them. I stepped back slowly, didn't make a sound. A few seconds later, the footsteps walked away again. Around 11 p.m., I was half asleep when I heard it. A knock. Soft. Controlled. I stayed completely still. Another knock. Same rhythm, same force. I got up again, checked the peephole. Nothing. The walkway was empty. No movement, no shadows. That's when I felt it for the first time. Not fear, something worse. The feeling that someone was there, and choosing not to be seen. I locked the deadbolt again, even though it was already locked. I turned off the light and lay back down, but I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I heard something else, a faint metal sound, right near the door, like something lightly scraping against it. I moved slowly toward the door again, looked through the peephole. This time, I saw movement. Someone was crouched low, so low I could only see the top of a dark cap and part of a shoulder. They weren't knocking, they weren't leaving. They were just there, watching the door. I froze, didn't move, didn't breathe properly. After a few seconds, they stood up quickly and walked away, fast. I immediately called the front desk. The woman answered. At first, she sounded annoyed, until I told her someone had been outside my door. Then she went quiet. She asked one question. "Did you open it?" I said no. She told me to stay inside and said the owner would check. A few minutes later, headlights passed across my window. A car drove slowly through the lot, then left. The office called back, said no one was there. Probably just someone messing around. I didn't believe that, but I didn't argue. I barely slept that night. Around 5 a.m., I woke up to a loud sound, my truck alarm. I rushed to the window, looked out carefully. A man was standing at my truck, driver's side door open, tall, dark jacket, hat. He wasn't looking inside the truck. He was looking at my room, like he knew exactly where I was standing. Then he shut the door and walked away, fast. I called the police. They came, checked everything, found nothing. One officer asked if I was sure I locked my truck. I knew I did. Another officer asked about the knocking, the crouching, the footsteps. His expression changed. Before leaving, he said, "If anything happens again, don't open your door, no matter what." I should have left that morning, but I didn't. That night, the truck came back, and this time, it didn't park near me. It parked at the very end of the lot, lights off, engine running, like it was waiting. Around 11 p.m., I heard it again. Not the door this time, the window. A soft tap, then another. Then something slowly dragging across the glass. I stayed in bed, didn't move. Then I heard something worse. The room next to me, a door unlocking. That room was empty, I knew it was. But now, someone was inside it. I got off the bed slowly, moved toward the shared wall. I could hear movement. Slow, careful. Not someone checking in, someone trying not to make noise. Then, a single hard knock from the other side of the wall, right where my headbed was, like they were testing it. That's when I called 911 again. While I was on the phone, I heard the bathroom window start to move. It wasn't rattling, it was opening, from the outside. I ran in and shoved it shut. Something pushed back once, then stopped. Seconds later, soft knocking started again, at my main door. This time, I could hear more than one person. I didn't move. Police arrived minutes later, and everything went quiet. Footsteps running, more than one. They checked everything, found pry marks, on my truck, on the empty room, on my window. But the worst part came after. Before I left, I checked under the bed. I don't know why I did, but I'm glad I did. There was a piece of paper, folded. On it was my room number and my license plate, written clearly, not guessed, not random. Tracked. I didn't tell the police about one thing, not because I forgot, but because I didn't understand it at the time. When I got home that night, exhausted, shaking, trying to convince myself it was all over, I emptied my pockets on the table. Keys, wallet, phone, and something else. A small folded piece of paper. The same kind as the one I found under the motel bed. My hands started shaking before I even opened it, because I knew I never picked up anything. I unfolded it slowly, and there it was. My name, my truck plate, and one more line written underneath. Room changed. Still alone. I froze, because I never told anyone I had been offered a different room that night. Not the police, not the owner. No one. Which means they weren't just watching the motel. They were watching me.
I went camping alone, deep in the woods. No signal, no people. At night, I heard footsteps, not animals, human. I saw a man standing between trees, watching me. He asked one question. "Are you alone?" I lied, said no. He walked away, but he didn't leave. All night they kept walking around my tent, never speaking, just waiting. Morning came. I packed fast, left everything behind. When I came back later, everything was gone. No tent, no bag, no proof I was ever there. Except one thing. On the ground, where my tent used to be, there were footprints. Not around the tent, under it. Some people think these stories are just paranoia, but the truth is much worse, because in every story, they never tried to get in immediately. They waited, they watched, and they made sure you were completely alone first.